Hello, everyone. We are back live again from BRM Connect 2022. So, today and this episode, I want to interview the industry legend,
Oh no.
Keith Sutherland. And he's got a tons of experience from his good old IT days. And he's a first timer to the BRM Connect conference. And we thought it would be a great opportunity to catch up with him and understand his experience on the BRM Connect. But before we get started off, I know a lot of people were wondering, who is Keith? So let me allow him to introduce himself and his journey and how it's been a journey towards his BRM.
Well, Suresh, thank you. And let me try to be as succinct as possible because if you look back on my IT career, which still continues, it's decades. And I'm kind of reminded because in many organizations, I've been trusted to be a leader,
Right.
not just a manager, but a leader. And I can remember in a couple of places I was nicknamed Mr. PMA, which stood for positive mental attitude.
Wow.
And but there's also some places that I've worked where it's been more like Mr. PMS, which stood for pack my suitcase, let me get the heck out of here. And let me just tell you that my experience at BRM Connect this week was more on the PMA side.
Sure.
In fact, to steal something from somebody that I talked to today, it was actually an IT conference attended by IT extroverts.
Wow.
Now, how many IT extroverts? I mean, we're not known for being extroverts,
Right.
but the conference was about business relationship management. And I will tell you, and a big thanks to you, and what our audience don't know is the pain that you put me through on getting to the level of BRM that I've achieved. So this guy had me on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday class for BRMP in December of last year. And then in January, another Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but this time for CBRM. So I got infused, but I want the audience to know, and to get back to your original question, that it was natural for me. And one of the things that I found that was very powerful at this conference, and many things for only a couple of days, was the realization that this role that's formal now called BRM, it's amazing how many times it came up that people were doing a lot of the things that are described in the content without it having been called that.
Correct.
And so for me, I could actually pinpoint my days at Holy Cross Health Systems, Catholic healthcare company based in South Bend, back 97 to 99. And when I looked at the content, how much it reminded me of the role that I played back then. Right. It was actually a business relationship management role.
Right.
In terms of how we describe that today, I would tell you that my entire IT career, if you look at the word atypical, as an IT leader, I was atypical. I was kind of unusual, but I was a little bit unusual only because of the relationship aspects that I carried in my day-to-day.
Sure.
Whether I was relating to vendors, whether I was relating to the people on my team, where I was relating to IT leadership, or whether I was relating to business partners.
Sure.
Right. In fact, one of the things that I'm so proud of was after I left that Catholic healthcare organization in South Bend, was the influx of people, CFOs at hospital organizations who I was interfacing with, HR leaders at hospital organizations how much they missed that I was gone. And so it was a level of appreciation.
Right.
But I've had the opportunity to work in IT in healthcare, in manufacturing, in customer care, in banking and finance.
Sure.
And so you get well-rounded. But as you know, with you being my brother and how long we've enjoyed a great relationship, the role that simulations can play here.
Sure.
To help get everybody on board.
Yep.
The roles being, I was talking to one of the attendees today and I said, imagine coming into IT today and how much you got to get your hands around, right?
Yeah.
Because for us baby boomers, we had the opportunity to learn incremental. Okay, right. This new thing is out. This new thing is out. So if you're coming into IT now, Here's my real point. If you come into IT now and it's your first venture into IT, you cannot be a BRM. Right? Right. There's so much you have to learn, right? Absolutely. So much you have to learn. And it's not only the technology. Correct. It's about learning your business. Yeah. I've always been that guy that said, if you are on my team, you better know how much our annual revenue is in our company. Yeah. You better know what IT is as a percentage expense. Right. And more importantly, you better know what it is that we hired you to do. How does that help serve the mission of the organization? Excellent. So anybody that's worked with me knows that I am very competitive. Right. And so I would have my teams were actually involved in budget planning. Hey, well, how do you think what do you think the next thing we should do? Sure. Right. And I think a lot of that comes from the only IT company that I ever worked for, which was EDS back in the Ross Perot days. I learned so much and it has helped me. Sure. And everything else I've just used to build on top of it. So I'm very excited about what we did this week over just a couple of days. I can't tell you just how uplifting, emotionally uplifting. If we were to kind of get into it, it was funny. I arrived on Monday looking for you, and we had the reception, the opening conference reception on Monday night, and just absolutely amazing to meet so many people that I had never met before, but yet had some connection to. The one thing that really struck me, well, there was a couple of things, and I realized it on that very first night. 3 out of the 4 people that I talked to, it was their first time coming. And that was confirmed the next day when somebody said, show of hands who's been here before, show of hands who were the first timers. We had about 60% of the people who were first timers who attended the BRM Connect. It was, and people came in a thirst for how to be better as a BRM. And it was just hinting that there was so much growth happening around the BRM space, and it's cutting across verticals. But one of the things that I was wanted to ask you, there was more higher ed on BRM. What does that play? It blew me away. Well, it wasn't. So even in our old service management space, I would have told you that the types of organizations that needed more help there tended to be healthcare, tended to be government, tended to be higher ed. Sure. And it was so refreshing for me to see that kind of attendance. I mean, how many higher ed organizations did we talk to this week? It was how many city, county, state government people did we talk to? But, and I want our audience to hear carefully that I said who we talked to. This was an intimate setting, if you will. You actually got to sit down and meet people and talk to people, and they came for, the lion's share of these people were practitioners. How are you doing BRM at your company? How are you doing BRM at your company? And you and I know what it really takes, how encompassing it is to be an effective BRM. You got to understand emerging technology. You got to understand your business partners. You got to understand strategy. You got to understand so many different frameworks and methods and standards that will help you accomplish, which leads back to my comment about coming into IT for the first time. Look at how much you got to get a grasp on. I talked to people in the pharmaceutical space. I expected for-profit business people to be participating here, but the not-for-profits, when you think of higher ed, when you think of healthcare, when you think of government, whether it be city, state, county, whatever it is, just blew me away. I'm already pretty damn emotional and pretty damn theatrical in the things that I do. And it just touched me. There was one presentation that was done today, and my takeaway was, and I had to mention it to everybody. My takeaway was, here was a BRM on stage, because again, practitioners want to hear from practitioners. Here was a BRM person, a BRM on stage who talked about the importance. She didn't say it this way, but my takeaway was the importance of humility
Right.
in the role,
Right.
and the importance of confidence
Yeah,
in
I
the
think
role.
that's an absolute right thing. Tez, for our audience here, Tez Vincent from the Hub International spoke really a passionate one. And what stood very well in the session that we had, which was very authentic, she's very frank, but she also made sure that she was humble enough and she
Yes.
was willing to learn. And you could see
Yes.
that in all walks of her life. And she had a great team that has taken it forward. So it's been a great conversation. So shifting gears for our viewers here, we had a sponsor hangout of TaUB Solutions doing something on the city of crime. So what was that experience? How did you get a
So,
feeling from outside?
so what our audience doesn't know was that you and I just went to our train the trainer on that solution last week.
Right.
And then you should have seen us Monday getting ready to deliver it.
Yeah.
On
Absolutely.
yesterday and today.
Right.
And going into that, I thought that people would come over and one person would play at a time, or maybe two people would play at a time. We got to a point where we had 6 people at a time,
Right.
playing a simulation together, all with a common goal,
Right.
right? And we were, in essence, for everybody that doesn't know what it was, we were solving crimes, but what we gave people was the end state.
Right.
And people had to figure out how we got to
Right.
the end state.
Right.
So as you're standing around watching this in action, yes, you do a little bit of setup and you do a little bit of facilitation, but it was amazing. And the phrase that I was using, and I think that our audience will recognize, if you ever heard the phrase, can't see the forest for the trees, right? Because it was all about problem solving, but it was about your ability to observe.
Right. Right.
And I always say there's a reason that we get 2 ears and 1 mouth, or 2 eyes and 1 mouth.
Right.
Because guess what you should be focusing on as a BRM?
Yep.
Listening. How many presentations did we see where I'm not going to ask permission to come, I'm just going to show up, I'm not necessarily going to say anything, but I'm going to listen and learn.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
And how better in the presentation that we just alluded to about the humility and the confidence, but also sitting and watching and listening.
Right.
How important are those skills to any BRM? Because what it does is it starts to build a foundation of trust.
Right.
Right. Are we really listening, or are we off looking at our BlackBerry and trying
Sure.
to listen at the same time?
Absolutely.
Sorry, I dated myself when I said
So
BlackBerry.
one of the things that I liked about was also the keynote presentation of Jeff Warren. He was really rock solid, and people who know Jeff Warren, he's an amazing storyteller. He's an amazing person, and his session on high performing BRM was one of my key takeaway, because he was very authentic, and he showed some of the things, because he said that as BRMs don't talk about all these stuff, you say how you're different.
Yes.
That differentiation is so important, because all that you want is that, okay, everybody's doing strategic partnering, everybody's doing this communication, but collaboration, but how are we different? Tell your own story.
Well,
right?
Let me leverage that, because I'm glad you got back to the word story, because you just, as you started to talk, you mentioned the word, what a great storyteller.
Right.
And how important is that in the BRM role? And as I talk to people that came to and again, I already said it, practitioners are coming to hear from other practitioners.
Right.
And part of that is storytelling.
Right.
Right. Part of that is maybe a simulation,
Right.
Or some type of simulation, like what we were doing at our setup. And that builds trust.
Yep.
It actually gives you kind of takeaways. I like that you used the word authentic.
Right.
Right. Because people see that.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to take the time to understand. And I've always been about that word empathy.
Sure.
I think the other thing that Jeff said, he talked about this being an art form more than a science.
I wanted to spend a little bit of time for our viewers. And as we speak to them straightly, we have to understand that you can have all the signs of the body of knowledge, which we generally have, right? Whether it's the PMBOK or the BRM BOK, but it's an art, because it brings in your true natural personality to be authentic and connect with that people. I always say it's not a B2B, a business to business, a business to consumer. It's H to H. It's human to human.
That's
right?
right.
It's
That's right.
all about connecting and being true enough and say that I don't know, I need help. And that's what I saw in the conference, isn't it?
Now, so to that point, let's back up a little bit. The BRM body of knowledge is damn important,
Right.
right? It's in your it's in your toolkit.
Right.
Taking the BRMP class is important.
Right.
Taking the CBRM as a follow-on is important.
Right.
But what's most important is the ability to apply that.
Yeah.
And the applying comes through the coaching.
Yeah.
It comes through the storytelling.
Right.
So if it's anything we want to impart to our audience based on their education of content journey,
Sure.
don't waste that by not immediately following up with, how do I get coaching on this?
Sure.
How do I get storytelling aspects
Sure.
on that?
Sure.
So it really, because that's what's going to make you the best BRM. And the other thing that I liked was it didn't really matter what vertical you played in,
Yep.
whether it was manufacturing, whether it was healthcare, whether it was county government. Your challenges are the same,
Yep.
even though the reporting and the structure of the organization might be different.
Yep.
The most effect, and I love the maturity, the capability and maturity of the different types of assessments we can do to kind of understand whether you're doing it with your business partner or not. Are you looking at yourself?
Yeah.
I like the fact that you shared with an audience that we bought this. This is how we run our business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How can you be out talking to people about stuff and you don't practice it
Exactly
yourself?
right. And I think personally for us as TaUB Solutions, we have actually been following business relationship management since 2015. We have our BRM practice head, Suresh Gp, who has also been instrumental in building that whole capability. And what he has been focusing on is how can we put what we learned into actual use. So he has been pivotal to push this one, and I'm so glad we have a great team ahead to make that work.
I have to bring up the BRM Institute.
Okay.
I shared with Suresh earlier about my little bit of history, because I can remember Aaron Barnes years ago establishing a LinkedIn group
Yeah.
for BRM.
Sure.
And I was all over that because I'm generally passionate about the subject anyway. But what followed with that was the establishment of the BRM Institute.
Yep.
And you were right there, almost right from the very beginning of that piece. I had a chance to be part of that back then and decided I wasn't quite ready to go there. Sure. And I will tell you that we all have regrets. I feel like I missed some good years, but I also know that there's some phenomenal years ready to come. Right. So I want to credit this young man because, you know, our companies have piled up together, right? We complement each other so well in terms of the capabilities that we bring to the table. Right. And I am so gracious that you twisted my arm on Friday, Saturday, Sunday classes and what it led to today, because what I've done the last couple of days has made all that absolutely worth it. And I'm so looking forward to continuing to network with the people that we met this week. And it was just funny that one of the people there at the conference lives 10 minutes away from where I live. I mean, you want to talk about the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon? Sure. All I had to do was look at somebody's, not so much their name, but where they were from and what their company name was. And I realized that there was some connection, which ended up being an icebreaker. And who knows what that leads to down the road.
And we can keep on speaking on that, but I wanted to kind of tell our viewers that BRM Connect has been a blast, and I'm joining in for 2 years, and we have a lot of things to follow up. A lot of passionate people, and thanks everyone who came to the storytelling session of building sustainable partnership. I had some great time with coaching people. I met a lot of people. I took a lot of pictures. Credit to this person because he had to keep on taking pictures for everybody who came to our booth, and it was so.
You cannot engage with Suresh and not have a picture on the back end. It's just
all
not
about
going to
creating
happen.
memories.
Yes.
And I tell people that it's all about creating memories because today, this moment is certain. We don't know what's happened. And all that we have to do is that we have to celebrate this moment of life and say that it's all about relationship that thrives, right?
And let's be clear, The content that's offered by the BRM Institute is phenomenal content,
Right.
but it's not everything that you're going to need to be successful as a BRM.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you a little bit of a plug here.
Sure.
I actually did a LinkedIn post on this yesterday.
Sure.
And it was just a testament that he not only talked BRM, he kind of talked about how it was related to customer experience.
Okay.
How many times did we hear Agile
Right.
come up in the sessions
absolutely.
yesterday
Right.
and today? I mean,
Right.
it's going to take some of all of that. And you got to find, I mean, these are ingredients that you're going to put in a cauldron.
Sure.
And you got to have the right set of ingredients for your particular situation, your level of maturity as BRM in your organization. But the network, I found, is totally willing to help each other be better.
Absolutely. So, folks, I think you enjoy this. I hope you enjoy the session with Keith, and you and we both can talk for hours together. And what I really like about Keith, and I want to close it out with that, is his passion, his energy to give back to the community, and being willing to learn is phenomenal. And I'm just so blessed that Keith and I are working to build this BRM in the Americas region for TaUB Solutions, and we hope we can do much and more impact lives. So we can't wait to see what is in store. But remember, if you are thinking that we missed the BRM Connect, don't miss next year, because it's going to be the 10th year. The Designium celebration is going to be at the roots of Portland, Oregon. So we hope to see you there. And TaUB Solutions will be a strategic partner of BRM Institute, and we hope to see another cracker of the conference. So thank you so much, BRM Institute. Thank you so much, Aaron Barnes, Andrea, the MC, who did a fabulous job,
Yes, she did.
and
Yes, she did.
Marlene and Alan. That's a great experience crew, and we thoroughly enjoyed. And you did a fabulous job, like anything. And I'm just going to miss this family. Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye, everyone. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, and take care.
You think we pulled it off?